Alright guys, MattG here, back again today. Hope you're all enjoying your Monday so far. Today it's time to recap the Dallas online home series that happened this weekend. Florida Mutineers run away with the championship, not what I was expecting at all. The grand finals, a lot of the matches yesterday were very, very interesting indeed, and definitely worthy of discussion over today and the next few days as well, because there's a few topics for sure that have come off the back of this. So lucky if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. And let's hop right into the video here. So first of all, wanted to talk about the challengers side of this weekend. Renegades won the APAC Region 1, that's this team you can see on screen right here. Then the Team War, ex-Team War team won the European version, so Dave, PT, Payne, Denzer and Vortex. And then the US one was won by Felony, Nagapen, Dav, Paddy, Royalty and Machilla, would you believe, win the North American version of the tournament. And there's another Challengers tournament going on next weekend as well that isn't running alongside a main professional Call of Duty invitational, I suppose. So with that out the way, let's hop right into the scoreboards. Cam Allen, thanks very much to him for putting these together, him and Horizontal. Leave their links down in the description box below as always. Fantastic graphics, really great to be able to use these on screen right here. First series of the day, Chicago Huntsmen versus the Florida Mutineers. A rematch from Atlanta. The last time these two teams played was in the semi-finals as well. Florida won in a Game 5 fashion. They went on to face Atlanta FaZe in the grand finals, where they did end up losing at the Atlanta FaZe home series. That was a kind of disappointing one, I guess, for the fans, because I was really hoping to see Chicago versus FaZe, and I was really hoping to see Chicago versus Dallas in this online environment. But none of those matches happen, as we will get into. So Chicago win map number 1 here, 250 to 199. They went up huge, like 189 to 50 at one point, and if you'd have taken a screenshot of that moment and said at this point Florida are going to win the championship, I would have said like there's no chance, right? Like how is that going to happen? Map number 1, Arstes goes off. Good performances really across the board from the Chicago team right here. Morks has a pretty difficult map number 1 as well. And like, Morks is a really interesting player, because whenever they put him on an assault rifle, he seems to be like doing really, really well. But sometimes he will just have maps where he disappears. But number 1 was one of those. Chicago get through it, but the Search and Destroy, they bounce back. And honestly, this was a really interesting map too here on Piccadilly. Like, Florida went up 3-0, and then they pulled it back to 3-2 to Chicago, and then they really should have won this this sixth round, should Florida. I think it was a 4 versus 2, and somehow Chicago end up winning it. They go 3-3. Chicago even take the lead here, but Florida, honestly, great composure from them, because they threw away a couple of these rounds they shouldn't have lost. At one point, you could have argued it should have been like 5-1 or at least 4-2. And they do bring some impressive composure to the table here. And if they'd have lost this, I thought it was pretty much going to be all over. But yeah, Florida bring it back pretty impressively. Skies with the old 11 and 8 performance. Great performances once again across the board. And what you will see here with these teams that win, the teamwork is usually on another level here. And Florida and Minnesota especially really did show that yesterday. Then the domination, which was pretty much Florida's best mode right now. Like, they crushed Chicago here on this domination. Hackney Yards. Hackney Yards seems to be a phenomenal map for Florida right now. Morks goes off. I think he may have had an AR in hand as well on this one. And Sky is double positive. Ferro just doing his thing. And Ferro, probably MVP for the weekend, to be honest. We'll go into that in a few minutes' time. But what a player he has turned out to be on this team, and seems to be much improved, this Florida squad for sure. Definitely their teamwork and their cohesion is really, really strong right now. And they win this game against Chicago pretty damn comfortably, to be honest. Formal, of course, not really fitting into his role maybe as well as he would like. And yeah, difficult map for them. But really what it came down to here was this game number 4. And this was a map which Chicago really could have won. It looked like they were going to at times. They did bring it back towards the end. But really the rotations for Chicago were just not there, right? And it's very easy for some people to look at this series and say, look, okay, well, it's just online Call of Duty. Chicago would have beaten them on LAN. And I guess there's a case to be made there in the fact that there's in front of the big crowd, or maybe Florida wouldn't have played so well in that environment where the crowd's cheering against them and all those kind of attributes. However, you can't not say that Florida just completely outplayed them this series, especially in this game number 4. Havoc was running right. I mean, he was 16 and 30, but he was just, it must have been 26 and 30 given this KD. But like, he was running all over the place, and he was getting key kills for the spawns at the back of maps at times. And really, he single-handedly won them the game on that P2 rotation. And really, Chicago were nowhere near to be seen on those rotations, and it's really has been a an issue with some of the players on, well, you know, Scump and Formals teams in the past, the OpTic Gaming lineup. Sometimes we've always talked about how their rotations aren't so good, and Florida pretty much school them here towards the latter half of the game, and they win it in very close fashion. But Chicago really could have won this, but honestly, Florida just outplayed them. And, you know, it has to be said, they win 3-1 in the series. They definitely deserve the victory. There's no other way to put it. Frosty just demolishes them in this map 4 as well, and he's been so good. Like, I'm so impressed with Frosty on this team right now, given that Pharaoh and Skies and are always going off, to be honest, in the series at the current time. The fact that Frosty can sometimes turn up really does, you know, turns this team up to another level right here. So this was the overall performances on the day. Not the best, you know, not the best stat line out of Formal on this one. RC still doing pretty damn well. Pharaoh with the 1.2, Skies with the 1.25. So, yeah, real team effort across the board here on the Mutineers, but Pharaoh and Skies just dominating the series. 102 kills for Pharaoh. That's some impressive engagements from him. Just one thing I wanted to mention as well. I looked back on the last time that these two teams matched up back on February the 23rd at the Atlanta home series. We saw a very similar turn of events on LAN as we did online. So this was the last series scoreboard, 2-3. So this time Chicago Huntsmen went up 2-0. And then the first two maps were very close. And then Mutineers brought it back, won the domination, won a map 4, and then, you know, dominated the S&D at the end as well. I think this was on Gunrunner, if I remember correctly. And here's Skies with the 1.25 KD. And this was before Pharaoh even came into the team. So, you know, it's interesting, right? I talked about how maybe this team with Morks wasn't the best version of the team. Yes, I like the Pharaoh pickup, and maybe Pristini back in the squad for Morks could be a direction to go. But we have seen a little bit of a meta shift lately, with a lot more teams pulling out 2 assault rifles on certain maps. And it seems like Morks is running them on certain maps as well, and really getting a lot of action out of it. So yes, he's still using the SMG and sometimes not performing, but when he does, this team is really strong right now, and Pharaoh has been a revelation for this squad. This is the last time they matched up, and you can't say that if it was on LAN, the result would have been different, because I imagine Mutineers would have beat Chicago on LAN today, or yesterday as well, because they were just playing better Call of Duty, to be honest. And RST straight up says here, online wasn't a problem, we just don't play right, but I did want to talk about that more in tomorrow's video. This was the second series of the day, Minnesota versus the Dallas Empire. Similar turn of events on the whole. Close maps on the game number 1. Alex goes off on this one, and well, assault 38 in 15. Like, what can you say about that? I'm pretty sure he started off this map like 15 in 2 or something ridiculous on Ramazza. Dallas Empire bounced back with a dominant search and destroy performance here, but the next 2 maps are very similar turn of events. Like, Dallas Empire right now does not performing that well in the respawns. Clayster has a pretty poor series by his standards here, but yeah, Minnesota get the job done. And in this game number 4, they close it out on Hackney Yard as well, I do believe, on this one. Asim, when he goes 30 and 22, it's tough to lose a map when Asim's got dropping a 1.36 KD. Like, it's just not going to happen. GodRx absolutely dominating. The fact that they were even close to Minnesota's scoreline, given this slaying, is pretty impressive. Like, absolutely dominant. GodRx with the 2 KD. Well, this was how it finished up. So Dallas Empire lose out on this one again at their own home series. Interesting to see, right? Given that Dallas were supposed to be, or people were talking about them being the online god squad that were going to do bits here. But Minnesota get the job done. Once again, teamwork just coming to fruition. And it's just great to see the way that these guys play together is above and beyond some of the other teams right now. And given that they don't have the biggest names on their squad in theory, the fact that they're mixing it up and winning, well, not quite winning championships yet. Florida did it here against some of the best teams in the game is really impressive, and it's great to see that style of Call of Duty coming into play, and it's really beautiful to watch at times. So they beat the Dallas Empire. Wasn't expecting that one. I was thinking we'd have game 5s in both of these series, but it didn't work out. Clayster, GG's to Minnesota, you know, played pretty bad that series. Claire's a, 0.7 over the course of it, so not ideal, but there's always the course of action to bounce back at the next event. And then we have the grand finals here. So Minnesota versus the Florida Mutineers in this one. Minnesota got up map number 1. This Azir Cave hardpoint was ridiculous. 250-241 at the end of it, like a super close map on the whole. Havoc once again, as he did against the Chicago team, pretty much running riot. But GodRx with a 42 bomb, 42 in 28. Like, this guy plays unbelievably well right now. Like, on LAN, online, it doesn't really matter. And that's the thing right now. I don't really think this tournament would have played out much different, if at all, if it had been on LAN. The top 4 teams, at least in terms of placing and where they were in the league, came top 4 at the event, so that's not really a surprise. And I guess these two matches are upset results for sure, but would that have been different on LAN? To be honest, they just outplayed them. Mutineers bounced back with a really strong search and destroy performance here though, Havoc with the old 11 in 5, and then we go into domination, which just seems to be an absolute masterclass from the Florida Mutineers here on St. Petrograd. They played this one phenomenally. I mean, Pharaoh, what do you even say about this? He's 36 in 16, boys. Morks is double positive, but he only has 7 deaths. He's playing like Marky B back in Black Ops 3 on Stronghold to capture the flag. Like, unbelievable what the Mutineers were putting up right here. This is one of the maps where Morks does run the AR. And Pharaoh just runs right in their spawn with whatever gun he has. And then game 4, they closed it out. This was 250 to 115. Pretty sure this is on Hackney Yard as well, which just seems to be an absolute like domination fest for the Mutineers. They seem to be so strong on this map right now, especially given that Minnesota had just crushed the Dallas Empire on this map as well. So, like, just a great performance from the Mutineers this weekend. Was not expecting them to come into this weekend so strong for sure. I thought they would be a good team, but they lost in their first round to the Toronto Ultra, I believe. And we'll have a look 1 second at the overall bracket for the weekend. But here come the Mutineers against the Rocker. 1.4 for Pharaoh in the grand finals, 1.3 for Skies. Frosty didn't even have to do too much, and they won a pretty comfortable series on the whole outside of that map number 1. Somewhat disappointed for Minnesota, but to be fair, they just got outplayed by a better team right here, and Mutineers bounced back very strongly indeed. Damn, it feels good to be a Mutineer. Nice little graphic here. So yeah, congratulations to them. Really cool to see. 4 tournaments so far this season. First one won by Chicago in London, then we had Atlanta FaZe at their home series, then the Dallas Empire, and now the Florida Mutineers win the Dallas home series. I thought this was kind of funny for Mutineers, just riling up the community a little bit. Flavor of the week must be salt, and this is the overall bracket we see right here. So Mutineers versus Rocker in the finals. But Mutineers, as you can see, lost 3-2 to the Toronto Ultra in the very first round here. Had to battle through losers against the Gorillas, then had to beat the Ultra again, or at least in their rematch, and then won the last 2 series as well. 3-1s all the way through. I wonder if they actually dropped to domination. I think maybe they did in one of these series, but pretty dominant stuff. And here is Pharaoh with the 1.24 overall KD on the weekends. For my money, he's got to be the MVP. Played out of his mind, especially in the respawn game modes here. Lot of first bloods. This is what he does. And Intel Call of Duty said a lot of teams snubbed him and turned down the opportunity to have him on the squad earlier this season. Maybe due to his reputation and previous things and whatever. But you can't deny he's an incredibly talented player. These are the KDs for the weekend. And Octane with a 1.31. Skies with the 1.3. Godorex with a 1.28. Pharaoh just behind that. And some other big names up here as well. Interesting to see for sure that Skies is so far up here, and even on some maps now, he's using an SMG, not an AR. So really impressive from him, like Skies and Pharaoh being up here, and Havoc at a 1.04. Like, that's pretty much all you need to be a dominant team right now if you got 3 players putting up performances like that. So that's the weekend in conclusion. Thank you to Dallas Empire for putting on and hosting this tournament, I suppose, even though I don't know if they really hosted it. Chicago Huntsmen, the next one coming up in 2 weeks' time. So very interesting results on the whole right here. This is what the overall tournament, the overall Pro League standings looks like right now. Huntsmen still in the lead, Dallas Empire, Mutineers and the Rocker all in this position. So the top 4 teams on the whole at this event came to play, right? And FaZe, of course, you would expect them to maybe jump into first place once again after their weekends next time, but who knows if they actually do win that. Like, of course, pretty much, well, Chicago and Dallas at least are at that event as well. So pretty interesting to see. Would this event have been different on LAN? Mutineers win. I do feel kind of bad for the Mutineers. I do want to talk yesterday about whether this will be counted in the long term. Like, does this count as a legitimate tournament? Is this a first winning Call of Duty for Frosty and those other guys on the team like Morks and those lads? So, you know, who knows? Will that be counted? I want to talk about that tomorrow. But would it have been different on LAN? In my opinion, I don't think it would have been. Mutineers and Rocker just fundamentally outplayed Huntsmen and Empire on that matchup yesterday. And Mutineers get the job done in comfortable fashion, to be frank, in the end. They played some phenomenal Call of Duty. Super impressed by them. And congratulations certainly are in order. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always. Thanks for watching. Leave all your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'll see you next time.